Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. As mentioned in a previous video, I swapped the now running and driving and roadworthy Ford Escort for this. It wasn't a straight swap. I did have to pay some money also for this. From a functionality perspective, it's a really bad swap, but from a style and coolness factor, it's a great swap. And I'm saying that because this car is really rough. It's really rough. Everywhere you look, it needs a bit of work. If this car was in good condition, it would be massively better than the Ford Escort in every possible way, but it's not. But it's a really cool car. This is the Mercedes-Benz S123 station wagon. It's the 7-seater. It got 2 extra seats in the rear that folds up. It is the 3-liter diesel, 5-cylinder turbo diesel, automatic transmission. And this one is from 1982. In my opinion, this, together with the Volvo 240 Estate, is the most iconic estate or station wagons in the history of time. They are just looking brilliant. They are pretty much bulletproof, and yeah, they are just iconic. If you have been a long-time viewer of my channel, you will know that I have worked on a couple of these. I have even stated that they wasn't really my kind of thing. I think that was because I didn't own one, and I have done a lot of work on these that was really nasty work. And also I have done a lot of rust work. And if you only do nasty tasks and rust work on a car and doesn't really drive them, you will start to kind of dislike them. But ever since I drove that turbo diesel a couple of months back, the one with the engine problems, the idle problem, oh, I just like that car so much because it got pulling power. It is so spacious, there's so much room. You get quite good economy from them. When you look at what it is, it's a big diesel car from the 80s. And ever since driving that, I actually really would like to get one. The dreams for this car at the moment is I would like to use it as my winter car. As mentioned lots of times, I am not able to drive anything boring through the winter. The winter is too long in Denmark. If I need to drive boring cars in the winter time, I would use half of my life not doing what I like, driving classic cars. And I think this is pretty much perfect because, as you can see, it is really rough, but still got number plates on it. If I choose to use it as a daily, I would of course have to re-register it so it was legal to drive as a daily. Right now it's registered as a classic. That means it got 8 years in between MOTs. This one got 2 years left. My plan was just to use it through the winter. It got some massive problems that I think I can fix. It turns out it got more problems than that. And it turns out that I will have to do work on this before even using it because it is in a rough condition and some of the things are dangerous and needs to be fixed before I use it. Even though it's MOT'd, it doesn't necessarily mean a car is okay to drive on the road, especially when it comes to classics with the 8 years in between the MOTs. It is up to the owner to make sure that things are safe and sound to use on the road. It's actually always the case, but a lot of the times people tend to think, oh, the car is MOT, so of course it's all right. But 8 years, actually that's more than the normal lifetime of a Morris Mini. When the Minis were around as daily cars, they were known to only last 5 or 6 years in my country. So that's not even an 8-year period of time. So you will have to take care of the cars, even though it's not due for an MOT. What I want to do in this video is to clean it up because I need to do a lot of work on it and it's filthy on the outside to the extreme actually. The inside as well is also very filthy. I will also like to clean that in the next video most likely. But before cleaning that, I will need to do something about water ingress in this car because the driver's seat gets soaked when it rains. I think it's because of the sunroof. I hope it's actually not anything wrong with it. I have a feeling because of the overall pretty neglected state this car is in, I expect the drains to be clogged with all kinds of crap and the drain down here in the bonnet to be clogged. So I would like to clean it today and remove all that kind of stuff. And then in the next video I would like to do an assessment of the engine because this engine has been rebuilt back in 2019. Unfortunately, when I picked this car up and drove it home, it turned out that it was missing around 3.5 liters of motor oil and 2 liters of gearbox oil and 3 liters of coolant. And that's not very healthy for an engine. I, of course, just filled the stuff back in, and then it started to drive a bit better. It was actually only able to drive around 30 kilometers per hour with the lacking gearbox oil. Now it's back to normal driving condition. It is a worn gearbox. The guy I made the swap with had this to a known mechanic who told him that the gearbox needs to be rebuilt. It has been weird for a lot of years. I can remember 2 years back when I worked on it. You can watch the videos if you want. I actually asked him if I should do a gearbox flush and try to adjust the gearbox, but he didn't want me to touch it because he was afraid that it would fail completely if anything was touched. I have a feeling that that gearbox is not as bad as you might think. I think it's really neglected. I think it needs a flush. I think it needs adjustment. I think it needs that the vacuum system to be in functioning condition, no leaks and all that. Then I think it would be okay. Of course it's worn. This car got 720,000 kilometers on the clock. So it's a lot. Hopefully the engine will be all right. So in the next video, I would like to do assessment on that, check the oil pressure and check the compression. But this video will be all about trying to clean out this mess. And as mentioned before, it's not ideal to wash your car in your garden. The best thing would be to go to a car wash. If I did that with this, it would destroy the cars coming after me because there would be so much crap in that reusable water. That's one thing. Another thing is that I don't want to drive this anywhere before I fix up what needs to be fixed. But I have some quite expensive shampoo that is biodegradable. It's actually stated on the bottle to be okay to just throw away on your lawn. And I'm not gonna use a lot of it. It's not very effective though. That's a problem with healthy stuff. Sometimes it's not just as effective as the other stuff, but I'm using that. So I'm gonna start washing this, but firstly I will remove this because it's doing its best to destroy the coolness of this car. It has to go. Okay, so now that it is somewhat clean, it turns out that this car is rusty. I couldn't see that from the underneath the dirt, but there's rust. What the It is not completely clean, of course. I just wanted to get the worst of the crap off, especially the roof was really bad. I could spend all day washing it and make it cleaner than this, but it's not really the point of this video. I just want to get the worst crap off it so it's not that disgusting to get inside of the garage to work on. And then I will have to start figuring out what to do, what needs fixing straight away, and what needs fixing in time to use this. It's not going to be usable as it is because there is some rust issues and some engine issues and bumper issues and light issues and stuff that needs to be fixed before that. But this is at least better. So the next thing that I would really like to fix is the water ingress on the driver's seat, because that's really annoying. Before, when it rained, it would just drip down right there. That's why it's a bit moldy. Hopefully it's just the drains, and I expect it to be the drains. There are 4 drains, one at each corner, front, rear. It drains out at the tailgate from the rear and down into the firewall area at the front. Those are most likely clogged, but let's just see if it's still a problem. You can see water disappearing down into the gutter. There we go. Ah, that's from the outside. There is actually not any water coming in now, except that came down from out here because of overflow. So I think I might actually fix it just by washing the car, because the gutter up here at the rear end actually got the outlet. Maybe you can see it in there. It is still not clean, but I think it was completely clogged before. So when I pour water at the sunroof, it should come out back there. And there it goes. So I might have just fixed it by washing it a bit. I need to do a better job at that area because there's still forest in there. But it's not necessarily fixed just because of that, because right now the car is slanted downwards and backwards and to the side. So it will be only the rear left drain that is in use right now. It could be one of the other drains that is actually clogged. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the sunroof. And even though all is not well in sunroof country, there is rust up here. You don't have to tell me that this car is rusty, by the way. I can see that, but I like to save it anyway. But what I'm going to do now is at each corner, up there and up there, is drains. They are most likely clogged because some of it could be due to rust, but it's most likely just the rain that cannot escape quickly enough. Often I actually hear that people think that the seal up here is important, and they think that the seal is broken and therefore water is getting in through the sunroof. That is not the case. The seal up here is not supposed to seal, not normally at least, on some maybe, but not on real factory sunroofs at least. It actually is meant, water is actually meant to go by the seal, past the seal, into a gutter in here and then drain out. And on the Mercedes, we got a drain up here, and I'm using this thick plastic pipe stuff because you don't want any metal thingy that can poke a hole and stuff. It's a rubber hose down there. If you poke a hole in there or push it off the actual outlet of the gutter, then you are in big problems. But what I can do is to find the drain. And then most likely some way down there it's clogged. Yeah, there's something there. And then this is going to be a bit difficult, but in there, just gonna open up the door. Maybe it gets a little bit easier. Well, not really. I'm not sure you can see it. But in there is a plastic outlet. And I can actually now see that when I push this forward, it is coming out of that outlet in there. That means that this side is no longer clogged. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on all the sides. And then it should be, hopefully, water-free on the inside, at least from this area. So I'm finished cleaning up the drains on all 4 sides. You can actually see the outlet of the rubber hose in there. Maybe not with the camera, but by eye you can. You can actually poke in from the backside and all the way up to this area where the drain is. Let's just do a quick test, because if I pour water right here, you want to see it drain away quickly. And not get into the car. and it's working pretty well. And running out right there. Great. This, I think, should make the car dry from the inside, at least from the top. There is rust in the bottom of the car, so driving through a puddle will still make the carpets wet. That's problems for another day. Now the seat at least should stay dry. The next drain that I would like to sort is this up here. This is where water collects from the roof and the windscreen and runs down into this area and drains out into the wheel arch. This is of course filled with crap, which was to be expected. Not as bad as expected actually, but I was actually expecting to see just rust down here, but there is metal, so that's good news. There is also rust though, but that is not a surprise. You want this area to drain quickly when you put in water. So, do you see it? That black piece of rubber down there. That is supposed to be the drain, but someone has put some sealer on it. Most likely because it's also rusty down there. But that is very no, because that will mean the water will never escape. I'll have to take a closer look at that in the garage at some point. But this is as far as I'm going to go with this now. Now I got that a little bit cleaner, which is nice. That thing with the drains is something you should do at least once a year. If that had been done on this for the last few years, it would have been a different state, that's for sure. It was important to do the sunroof because if I want to drive it, I don't want the seat to be wet. But doing this wash, I have realized that this car is more rusty than I was expecting. Don't get me wrong, I was expecting a lot of rust that needs to be fixed, but it might be a little bit worse than I had expected. For instance, just take a little look underneath here and you will know the amount of trouble I am in. This car could end up needing a complete new floor everywhere because it seems to have been wet in there for many years. I have worked on this car before, so I knew rust was forming, especially up there in that corner, and there is a lot of rust in there that needs to be fixed, but it might be a little bit worse than expected. Anyway, this video was just a cleanup. You will notice that it got the wrong wheels on the front end and the correct one on the rear, but I actually got quite a lot of spares, so I'm going to take at least two so I can make a complete set, and then I will sell one set. They seem to be in pretty good condition. I don't really know if they are worth a lot, but I think I can make a pretty decent set of wheels that I could put up for sale and hopefully get some money into the bank. Anyway, next video will be assessment of the engine. I really hope that the engine is still healthy. If it is, then yeah, it could be a good project to fix the rust and all that. I am doubting that this is going to be my winter car because the amount of work needed to make this safe to drive is more than I was expecting. I was expecting to just fix some rust and make the mechanical things a little bit better and then drive it through the winter and then next year maybe start building it up. I might have to do something else about that. Maybe find another one to use as a winter car or get dug into this rust issue a bit quicker than expected. At least that's where I am right now. It will be easier when I get it on the lift and take a real look, but yeah. Another quick look underneath. Yeah, I think you get the point. It's rusty. Anyway, thank you for watching this video on the new addition to the fleet, the swap I made with the Ford Escort. So this, I like my cars to be broken, as I mentioned. And this very much ticks that box. So see you in the next one.